Hello everybody, this is B-Soul coming at you today with a top 5 video on Fairy Tail. Now today's top 5 video will be on the top 5 characters that would make a better protagonist than Lucy Heartfilia. Now I know everyone has their own opinion on Lucy. Some people love her, some people hate her. Personally, I love Lucy. Don't get me wrong, she's a great protagonist. But I just think these 5 characters on my list would make a better protagonist by far. Now, all the images that I use in my video, I do not own. I did not draw them. I found them on Google Images, and they belong to their respective owners, or artists, however you want to put it. So, with that, let's get underway. Now, coming in with number 5, I have Minerva. Now, I get it, Minerva is not in the Fairy Tail Guild, but I think her backstory is by far better than Lucy Heartfilia's. Lucy Heartfilia, don't get me wrong, she had a rough childhood. Her father kind of didn't really love her. Her mother died at a young age. But I really think Minerva has a better backstory, and I think it would just give her character a lot more depth, and it would make us just fall in love with the main character even more. And plus, she is a really strong fighter, which we see in the Grand Magic Games when she just wipes the floor with Lucy. Now, I think power and character-wise, it would just be a better fit. It would be hard to work her in because there's so many story arcs before the Grand Magic Games when we finally meet Minerva. So we'd kind of lose all of the storyline, and she's not even in the Fairy Tail Guild, so it would be kind of weird. So that is why I put her at number 5. Now coming in at number 4, we have Gildarts. Now, everyone loves Gildarts. He is just so strong and incredibly powerful, and he's really the strongest mage in Fairy Tail. So he would be a great fit. He's really strong, and we'd lose a lot of the story arcs, but since he's in Fairy Tail, it'd make it a lot easier to work everyone in and really revolve around Gildarts. Now, the only problem with him being so strong is he wouldn't really have anyone to fight against, and actually we wouldn't see a struggle, so he'd just waltz his way through every fight, and it just wouldn't be as enjoyable as it is now. Okay, sliding into number 3, we have Urza Scarlet. Now, she is loved by many, and I think it's because of her backstory. It just pushes forward that she's been through a lot, and she just keeps pushing through, and it really shows how strong Urza is, not just mentally, but also physically and emotionally. So, really, Urza would make a great main protagonist. It would be a strong female character that would just kick butt and take names. And her backstory is good, like I already said, and I think if we had some more around Urza, we would really fall in love with the character. Okay, for number 2, this was a tough decision. I had this tied for number 1, but there was a few different things that really pushed it down to number 2. But this number 2 person is Mira Jane. Now, I know everyone loves Mira Jane. She's the poster girl for Fairy Tail. She's strong, but at the same time, she's really beautiful. And who doesn't love the demon Mira Jane? Okay, we all love her. And the reason she would make such a good character is because the little backstory that we did see has just made me absolutely fall in love with this character. I love Mira Jane so much. She's been through hardships, and she's really found her home in Fairy Tail. Now, we met Mira right at the beginning, so it would be really easy to work her in as the main protagonist. The only problem is she did not get her powers until quite a bit on. So, I mean, you could work with that, and then you could have her find her powers, and then she was really with all of the big arcs. So it would not be that hard to make her the main protagonist and continue with all of the story arcs. Before we get to number 1, I'd like to include some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is Sting and Rogue. Now, the only thing I don't like with those two is they're not really part of Fairy Tail. And honestly, I did not feel that connected to him, especially Rogue. Sting, kind of, but Rogue not so much. He's kind of a standoff character, and we don't really see that much of him, so he wouldn't make that great of a main protagonist. Unless you could write some storyline to really make us feel one-to-one with that character. Number 2 is Juvia. Juvia, we love Juvia. She has that little stick with Gray, and it's really great. It's comedic relief. Every single time I see Juvia, I love it. And she's very strong. She kicks butt. It would just be a great fit, because then I know she was with Phantom Lord first, and we'd have to see a couple arcs with Phantom Lord, and then that would be kind of cool because we could see the transition over to Fairy Tail, and it would like show a contrast between the two guilds and really hit it home. But the only problem is I don't really take her character that seriously because of her little shtick with Gray. Even at times when she is serious, it's not as serious as I'd like it to be. And then the third honorable mention is none other than Gray Fullbuster himself. Now, Gray, he's a ladies' man. All the fangirls love him. He has an excellent backstory, so it really makes us feel for this kid. His parents died, and then his teacher died for him, so he could live on and be freed of the shadow that was looming over him. So it really, really pulls at the heartstrings, and I would just enjoy Gray as a main protagonist. But the only problem we have with him is he doesn't have that comedic relief that we desire. He's too serious, and having a too serious main protagonist just kind of takes away from Fairy Tail, because the beautiful thing of Fairy Tail is there's those really serious moments, but there's a lot of comedy in it too, and you can get some chuckles out of it. So that is why these characters just didn't make the list, including Gray. Now here we have the number one character I would have as the main protagonist, and that is none other than our very own Gajiel Red Fox. Now, I'm not sure if all of you fell in love with this character as much as I did. I love how we really see him change from the dark to the light and really grow as a character, especially at the final Tartaros arc, talking in the anime. He cried because the council member died before he could express his feelings and tell her how her words, he took her words and actually lived by them instead of just blowing them off. And that really showed me as a character he's grown so much. And he's not even the main protagonist. Imagine if he was the main protagonist, if this show was all about Gajiel and his coming back from being in that dark pit of Phantom Lord and hurting innocent people. And I think it would be really good. And the way we could work him in to being the main protagonist is we have him start off with Phantom Lord. And he'd work with Phantom Lord, and, you know, he'd be all bad and he'd hurt people. But then eventually he'd go and he'd fight Fairy Tail. And then Fairy Tail would beat him and he'd lose. As the main protagonist, he'd lose a fight, which would be honestly refreshing. I'd enjoy it a lot. And then afterwards, you know, Master Makarov could come and we could see that little one-to-one conversation that he had with Gajiel. And then Gajiel would go and become a member of Fairy Tail. And we could see all the obstacles he overcame in Fairy Tail, and it really wouldn't mess with the storyline. It would stay right on path with what it really is, because Gajiel is part of a lot of those big story arcs. The only ones that would kind of mess up is like the Erasion Sais, and it would kind of mess up the Tower of Heaven, but you could write different story arcs in place of that. And it would really make as a great main protagonist a lot better than Lucy Heartfilia. But hey, that's just my opinion, and we're all entitled to them. So if you would like to, drop some comments on who you would like as the main protagonist. So I'll see you guys around. This is Beast Soul, signing out.